Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. I'm your host, Logan Lee Miller, and I have got to say, things are switching up for me. I guess you could call it a new season, a new era, if you will. And one thing that is kind of triggering a lot of these changes is my 25th birthday is coming up. I know I literally have been fixated on this year, this moment, this time in my life for the last 6 months, really. I've been hyper focused and doing some sort of audit in different ways on my life and just really like trying to think if this is the right path for me, right? Like I'm halfway to 50, if you consider it that way. And I personally, I don't know, you might be like this too, but I have been super conservative all my life. And the way that I would want to save chocolate that I got on my birthday for a special event. Like I wanted to keep it, and then when that special occasion or when I felt like I deserved it, or if something happened, or just this amazing, perfect day, that is when I would eat the chocolate. Or if I had a stunning, beautiful dress that I found at the boutique or something and I wanted to wear it, but I wanted to save it for the perfect day, a special day. You just can't wear it on any single day, right? I've been very conservative with almost my happiness, if you could think of it in terms that way. Because I've thought to myself, okay, if I'm saving this chocolate or saving this dress or saving this thing, activity, big whatever, for a certain date, it's almost as if like everything has to be perfect before then. But life is not perfect, and there are going to be so many things that pop up and that are going to kind of stand in your way of happiness. And for me to think, okay, like, is there such thing as too much happiness? Can I overdose on happiness? Can I overdose on joy or the things that are so totally awesome and amazing, like wearing a dress for a special day, right? Like, can I have multiple dresses for different special days? Do I have to save it for a special day? Or the chocolate, like all of these things, I've just been really conscious of not wanting to wreck my chances of having happiness in the future, if that makes sense. So I would, like right now, we're in wedding season for me, Garrett and I have multiple weddings that we have to go to. And so for attire, right, like my outfits, I've had them in the closet, I've been picking some up here and there, and before I get ready for the event, I think to myself, okay, like, is this dress going to be appropriate for this wedding? Or should I save it for a different wedding? Will it fit that vibe better? Or maybe I'm not feeling myself completely that day. Maybe I'm feeling a little ugly, I don't know, like, or not as confident as I could be, right? Like, we all have those days where we're feeling a little lower on the energy totem pole. And I might think to myself, oh, like, when can I save this? What day will be best to actually like wear this outfit? And I have some dresses in my closet that I've had for 6 to 8 months that I've been just waiting for the most special day, waiting for the moment, waiting for the right thing. And I honestly, I'm just fed up with waiting. I am really, part of my personality is like a big picture kind of thing, right? Like I'm always thinking long term. I'm always thinking how it can most benefit me, like how I can delay gratification so then like it will have a bigger payoff. And I will say, in certain areas of your life, that's really good. Investing in the stock market, like I personally don't day trade because I don't have the time, the energy, and I think it is very, very based on emotions, and people will like put a bunch of money in and then want to take it out because they thought the stock was going to do good and then it didn't do good. Like personally, like I rather just buy a little bit. I definitely like an index fund, and I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to pay attention to it, and I can delay the gratification in that way. But for everything else, I've just been kind of like waiting. I've had the same mindset. I've just been, okay, like when it gets to that time, then I will do it. But I guess I just woke up and looked around. Maybe it's my frontal, my frontal I'm gonna butcher this. Basically the front part of my brain, whatever it is called. It's developed, right? Not developed enough to remember what it's called, but it's developed, right? Like I'm almost 25, so I've kind of just taken this audit of my life, and I've noticed that there are a lot of things that I'm saving for the future, but every single day is a gift, and like there is no guarantee that we're gonna live tomorrow, right? And I kept thinking, why am I waiting? Why am I waiting to do these things? Why am I waiting to wear the dress? Why am I waiting to, paint the walls or hang something up, right? Like I've shared with you before about how it's really hard for me to hang things on the wall because what if I want to switch it out? What if I want to hang something else? Or I don't like the positioning, or the nail, wrecks the wall and I have to completely like recaulk it and repaint it. Or if I paint something and I don't like it, like it's almost to a level of, is it commitment issues, or am I just wanting everything to be perfect and waiting for that special perfect time? But what I figured out, and what I hope you can also, gather from my findings so you don't have to continue to wait and wait and wait, is there's never going to be a perfect time, and nobody is going to tell you, oh my gosh, now is the time, you should do it, act on it now. Because what if they're wrong and then they told you to act now, and then you're going to be mad at them because they told you to do something that you're like, oh, it wasn't even my choice, right? And then we can not be married to the idea and just place the blame on someone else. So I've really been thinking about what I have been waiting on, what have I been trying to save for the perfect time, and I really think that I am scared to make mistakes. I am scared to try something and not like it. I am scared to want to go after something and then it not pan out, and then the embarrassment of like, oh gosh, like you tried this thing and it didn't work. And I have been trying so hard to take the pressure off and to not focus on the long-term effects on a few things. Now, obviously, I'm not wrecking my life. I'm not doing anything super rash and crazy, because that, to me, like the amount of like rash and crazy that I'm getting to is really not that rash. It's really not that crazy in comparison to sometimes how other people live their lives, right? But I was just thinking about the past like 25 years, essentially, on how I have lived my life and the things that I have been doing and how I want the next 25 years to go. And I kind of have been in sort of a rut. I've been not necessarily, I don't think motivation is the right word, because motivation is always fleeting, but I was really trying to pinpoint the time that I felt like so much overwhelming joy, that I felt so happy, and that I was just really excited to jump out of bed and get going. And I have started to read Jenna Kutcher's book. It's How Are You Really? It's a super, super good book. But part of it was a journaling prompt, and it was like, okay, what makes you jump for joy? What makes you irrationally angry? What makes you do this or that? Like, it was an entire, like, step-by-step, like, a check-in with myself. And I was thinking, when was the last time I actually checked in with myself? When was the last time I was like, oh my gosh, like, are you really, how does this make you feel? Honestly, without any attachment or judgment towards my answer. And I started to just really apply that and take it to heart, because Jenna talks about a little bit of being burnt out. And I kind of feel like I was, and even now, like, I'm afraid to commit to saying I'm burnt out, because I always, like, don't want it to be as bad as it seems, right? Like, I'm a pretty upbeat person, but I think that we have to truly identify the areas that we're not happy with in our life, and we need to full send, right? Like, we need to commit. So I'm committing. I'm burnt out. I am completely and utterly burnt out. I'm feeling burnt out, right? Like, I'm feeling burnt out. It doesn't mean that I have to feel this way forever, but right now, like, I'm feeling a little burnt out. I'm feeling that I am too young to be this stressed out for no reason. And part of it is my own doing. I'm not taking enough time for self-care. I'm not taking enough time to allow myself to be creative in the way that I used to be as a kid. I have been super reflective on what I spent my time doing as a child. I really like to be outside. I really like to read. I like to play with my animals. I had cattle, and we had chickens and ducks and all sorts of things growing up. And I also drew and journaled and colored and molded things and tried jewelry and sewing and all of these different outlets. And I was thinking about what I do now, what I do for fun now. Of course, I podcast. I love to podcast, talk, but to a point, like, this is work, right? Like, it's still work. But what am I doing that is completely for me? It just selfishly for me. I would say a part of that is gardening. So putting my hydrangeas in, putting my tomato plants in, mulching, being outside. I love that. I love to hammock, but all of those things are, I guess to some point, like, gardening is pretty mindless, but to be in the hammock, like, I'm not really enriching my brain. I feel like working out, yes, that's an outlet, but that's still not like being creative. And I really want to get back to creating art, but not, it doesn't have to be like a painting, right? Like, I do like to paint. But I just feel like college, I did a lot of crafts because I was in a sorority. And so I was thinking, oh my gosh, like, the last time I crafted was probably for my littles paddles. And then I was thinking, oh my gosh, before that, it's probably in high school. Like, I took 3 art classes my senior year each semester. I took art classes like all the time. And now I'm not really taking that many art outlets, right? Like, I'm not really doing anything in the art realm. And I just remember, like, growing up, my mom would be like, oh, you are just so artistic, right? Like, was she blowing smoke up my butt? Maybe, but like, I felt like I was artistic. I felt like I could do things. And I feel like when you start to go along the path of your career and the things that you want to do, you can almost lose sight of who you truly are at the core. You might be adopting the tendencies and the habits of the people around you. You might be, trying to mold yourself to someone that you see on social media, or your friends, or the group of the friends that you want to be in, right? Like, sometimes we want to be a part of that group, so we are trying to change ourselves so that we fit in and they accept us and we're able to do the things that they're doing. And I truly believe the more we live, the more we grow up, the more we lose sight of who we truly are at the core. And I really think that as children, even though we don't have life experiences and we do not have all the cool things as an adult, right? I still think that as children, we knew more about what we wanted to do with our life than when we grow into adults, right? Because we start to adopt the ideas and the thoughts that the people around us have for us. And it's, encouraged to do one thing or the other, and to go to this school, and to try out for that major, or this hobby or that. And then we start getting labels put on ourselves. And then we think, we have to do this one thing, and we have to continue to do it. And I think social media thinks they definitely push that we have to like niche down, that we have to have something that is all about us, like, or how else will people be able to relate to us if they don't know what we're all about, right? Like, if we are not in a certain category, it's really, people don't like messy. And I think sometimes you have to get a little messy. And I personally have been just trying to let go of the things, of the order of everything, and just get a little messy. And I feel like that is what art is, and being creative is. It's getting a little messy and hectic. And some people, like me, right, like previously, I'm working through it, we don't like to get messy. We want things to be in a box. We want labels put on people. And if you think back to like high school, right, they say, never change, like stay the same. That is the worst thing you could tell anybody, right? Like, we are truly meant to change and try things and not be put in a box, and to discover our outlets, and to discover what brings us joy and brings us passion. And we don't have to wait for the perfect time. We don't have to wait for the perfect day or the perfect age, or when we have this amount of money in our bank account. Like, it truly, like, when will be the right time? I personally had been thinking about the right time, and I even downloaded a countdown app into my phone, and I was counting down the days until I could truly start living my life, start living out the dreams that I had, the daydreams that I had, and until I stumbled upon this quote, and it said, if you have excess time to daydream or to want the other person's life, right? Like, if we want this certain type of life, if we have excess time to daydream about the life we want, that means you are not doing enough work to actually have the life that you want, because you're daydreaming. You're wasting the time of wishing and wanting and not actually getting in there and getting the work done. That hit me so hard. I was like, where am I just wishing and not actually working? And I love to work, right? Like, if something needs to be done, I'm ready to do it. I have the how hard could it be bone in my body. Like, if there's work to be done, I'm doing it. And so then I was asking myself, oh my gosh, like, what areas have we been avoiding because we don't want to put the work in? What areas have we been, avoiding asking ourselves how we are, right? Like, how does this make you feel? Do you like this? Is this how you want to continue? Instead of, I should do this because someone told me I was good at it. Or I should do this because I'm already so far down the road that to turn back, it would be absolutely horrible, right? Or it would be a lot of work, or I would have to start at ground zero. But as I have this timer or this countdown on my phone where when the time goes up, then I'm supposed to make this big leap. I'm supposed to just know everything. I'm supposed to be ready to get started, right? And as I was thinking about it, I wanted to move it up. I wanted to cut that time in half, because they always say we overestimate the amount of time that it will actually take us to accomplish something, and then we overestimate for like shorter periods of time. So in your 10-year span, you're like, in 10 years I want to do this. We under expect how long it's going to take us, because that 10 years really, if we put the work in, only really would take like 5 years. And then for like short-term goals for like 1 week or 2 weeks or a month or even 6 months, we overestimate how much we will actually get done because it's not enough time. So there's like a sweet spot. But here, this like long-term goal, this like big goal of mine, I was like, ooh, I really need to cut it in half. And I was like, then once I cut it in half, I'll just wait. I will wait for the perfect time. And I was thinking, am I just like putting this time cap on myself because it's a way to kind of opt out? And you might have a goal or a dream yourself that you have been wanting to accomplish or do or step out in faith and try it, right? But we might have these excuses that we put on ourselves of, oh, we can't do that until this is done. Oh, we can't do this until the kids are out of school. Or I can't do this until I have $50,000 in my bank account. I can't do this until, I'm happier, I'm more fit. We have all of these excuses that pop up in our brains, and we take them as facts. We take them as facts and at face value of, oh my gosh, like I have to wait. I can't do it. And I just decided that I am going to stop delaying the waiting period. I am going to start living my life today. I'm going to start doing the things that make me happy right now. And honestly, it was so frightening almost. Like it was so scary. And I had to lean on my support system. I had to make many phone calls and cry a lot. That's one way that I process my emotion, is through tears, right? I cried on the way here, actually. And it took a lot of time, and I almost didn't do it, but I decided to transition out of my current 9-to-5 and take up a different job. So that might not seem like a big deal, but for the last 2 years, I've been in a certain job, I guess. I've been in a certain industry for the last 2 years. And honestly, like I was making it up the ladder pretty quickly. I had tripled my salary in the 2 years. I was on the fast track, right? Like I was in where I thought was going to define success for me. I thought that this is what I should be doing. And I just have to put in the hours, I have to put in the work, and then it's going to pay off. 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 And every single day, like I would have the mindset of, okay, one day this work, this hard work, this is going to pay off. And the more I kept doing it, the more I kept thinking, how much longer do I have to do this? Can I see myself doing this for the next 10, 20 years? And honestly, the answer made me want to puke, cry, and hide in bed and never come out. Literally, like hide in bed and never come out. And it was about, I don't know, like 6 months ago, I decided, this is not for me. This is not the trajectory that I want. And I literally, like I had woken up last November, and I thought to myself, is this how I want my life to live? And I kept putting this like pause button on myself. I was like, pause that feeling, pause that thought, let's continue. This is the track that we're on. We'll see if it gets better. let's delay it. You're not ready. Like, we have to wait until this falls into place. We have to wait until that falls into place. Like, you can't do it right now. And I just kept like putting these like pauses on what I wanted. And literally 6 months of thinking, oh, should I do this? Should I not do this? Like, I'm not sure if I'm happy in this role, but I'm really good at it. Like, I'm really good at it. They seem to like it. They seem to like continue to give me more responsibilities. But the more that I did it, the more I just felt so drained. And I looked around to the people that I was working with who were more in their careers than I was, who had been at it for 10 years or 20 years. And I thought, do I want that? Do I want what they have? That honestly is such a pivotal question to ask yourself if you're ever thinking, oh, like, am I on the right track? Look at the people around you. Do you want to be them? And I think it's really important that when we are looking for a mentor or we are looking for someone to model our lives after, we really have to think, okay, would I trade exact lives with them? Would I, everything that they're doing right now, if I'm doing even a part of it, like, do I want to end up where they're at? Because essentially, if you're copying them or on the same route as them or working at the same job as them, you have to ask yourself, oh, would you trade jobs with them? And the answer was, heck no, like, absolutely not. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, like, I do not want to be them. I do not want to have the stress that they have. I do not want to, I don't want that next step for me, right? Like, the next step, the next position, the next thing for me, I did not want. And that felt like a freaking punch to the gut, because here I thought that I had found my industry, that I had found the thing that was finally going to make me happy, that I found the thing that I could really stick with, and I could finally just be like known for something, and I didn't have to be so wishy-washy, because I have so many passions, I have so many things that make me really happy, and I wanted to be put in a box. I just wanted to be known for something. I wanted people to be like, oh, there she is, like, of course, that's what she does, right? Like, it's this label. And I was questioning myself on why I wanted the label. Was it so that people, like, in small talk conversations could put me in a box? Because I know that you do it too. Like, when you meet someone for the first time, it's usually, oh, what's your name? Are you from around here? Where do you live, right? And where do you work? Those are like the top 3 questions everybody asks you. What's your name? Where do you live? Where do you work? And those 3 answers, like, strongly put them in a box. They've already decided, because when a person meets you, they're looking at your face, they're looking at your presentation, and then boom, they've already like put a little notation next to you, next to your persona, next to your person. And then the next thing is, oh, they live in a nice city, or they live on that bad side of town, or, oh, they live 30 minutes from here, not close enough to grab a coffee, right? Like, they're already making assumptions about you from these answers. And then the next one, what do you do for work? I am an art teacher at the local high school is going to hold a different weight than I am a senior vice president at a finance firm, right? Like, those are going to hold different weights, and they're totally different realms. So someone is going to take that and they're going to put like a little check mark, and they're going to say, oh, like, I can categorize this person in this area because I know someone else who does that thing, and I'm putting them in the same box. So I'm going to talk to them about those things. But honestly, like, work is so freaking boring. That is the most boring thing about a person. And we spend so much of our lives at work. Why would we want to continue talking about work at a social gathering or at a social event? Like, that just seems so bizarre to me that you would want to continue the conversation even after hours, right? Like after we're even done. But yet that's what people use all the time. That's like our go-to like quick talk or small talk, that's what I meant. Our go-to small talk. But what if we changed it, and instead of asking people what they do for work, we could ask them about like the deeper things. How do you prefer your coffee? Or what kind of vacuum do you use in your house? I know that seems so totally weird, but we could work with it, right? Like we could change it. We could change how society is. But I had craved so much to be put in this box, to be known for something, or to at least have some sort of credibility. But it really all boils down to what other people thought of me and how they were going to perceive me and to perceive my life. But I kept asking myself, like, is this the life you want to live? Is this something that you want to continue to do? Or are you not happy? And when I put it into perspective like that, I was like, oh, you are so right. Like, I'm just not happy. And the way that I was going to continue, I wasn't going to find happiness anytime soon, right? Like I wasn't going to find happiness anytime soon. So I just have came up with this new mantra, if you will, new guidelines for my, 25th year and on, because I am in the second half of my 20s. So if it is not making me richer, or if it is not making me hotter, I'm out. I am totally out. Like I'm not in, because those are the things that are important to me right now in this moment. Make me richer or make me hotter. And if it's not going to do either, I'm out. And my job was making me uglier, and it was taking all my time. And it just wasn't working out for me. And I was coming home and just like feeling totally exhausted, but to the point of I didn't have any like creativity left. Like I didn't have any spark. Like I didn't have any will to thrive, right? Like, and so I really needed to take inventory of the life that I was living and what was making me truly happy. And I decided to work on an exit date and work on an exit plan to kind of prepare myself for the next steps and the next stages. And even though I had all the good intentions of the world, and I actually had an exit date, I cut it in half, and my exit date was in July. And I was like, okay, this is my exit date. This is when it's gonna happen. And after calling, I talked to you a little bit about like Julia and Julie, the little movie on Netflix about Julia Childs. That was around the time that I had been thinking about it. It's been about 2 weeks. I had watched that movie, and then I had called my mom and I chopped vegetables, and I literally cried for like the 2 hours I was with her, which is, great. It was just like hitting me. These emotions that I wasn't happy with my life, and I wasn't happy with the things that I was doing, right? Like I wasn't happy with everything that was going on, and I didn't know how to change it. But that was a lie. I knew how to change it. I was just turning a blind eye, and I was hoping it was going to get better, and I was hoping that it would pay off, and I was hoping that if I tried a little bit harder, if I applied myself a little bit more, that I would fall in love with it, that it would all snap into place. But I don't think that this feeling of discontent came out of nowhere. Like I truly think that sometimes like this job was the perfect job when I needed it, right? Like we do not have to stay married to an idea or a thing for the rest of our life. And I think like we just get so caught up in the idea of wanting to have it all figured out. And in high school, they tell us all the time, like, all right, like pick pick your degree. Like, you're going to college, you're an adult, you need to pick your life. And I always think back to, there's like this Bumblebee movie, and I think back to it. It's called, oh crap, Life of a Bee or something like that. But the lifespan of a bee is like super short. So like they go to college, or I'm sorry, they're born, they're in nursery school, and then they go to high school, and then they graduate, and they pick their job, and it's only been an hour of their life, right? And so then they're just worker bees, and they get to be, you know, whatever department they're put in. So if they're put in the honeycomb making department, that's where they're at. Or the nursery, where they're gonna take the little honeybees and care for them and until they're like grown-up worker bees. Or are they going to be like the honey bees that go out and like collect all the honey? Whatever it is, they have to stick to that job for the rest of their life. Although it's short, I mean, that's the life of a honeybee. I'm not a honeybee, like I'm an adult, like I'm a human, right? And we have free will, and we, especially with this day and age, I mean, truly, like, you have so many opportunities, especially like I have so many opportunities, and that is not to, I want to be grateful for what I have, and I don't want to waste it, because I know someone else, like, they would love the opportunity, right? And I think not taking an opportunity to then like be more successful and help other people, that's doing a disservice to the people who do not have opportunities and in this moment, right? If I were to turn up my nose to an opportunity, or to work harder, or to accomplish something, or like to do something, because I am so blessed, I mean, it would be like a total disservice, because if I'm not able to pursue you know, a job, a career, or money or anything, then I'm unable to help other people, because I have to be at a place that I'm able to, you know, give that helping hand. They always say on the airplane, like, help yourself before you help others, because if you do not help yourself and you are dead, literally you cannot help anybody. So it would be, I hope this is coming across, like, I have the opportunity, and it would be a disservice to the world not to take advantage of that opportunity, so then I can turn around and help others. Then I can turn around and, you know, pull another person up, or I can show them that if I can do it, like, you can do it, right? And so I just want to set an example, and I think that's the eldest child in me, but like, I want to show others, and I want to be able to help others, so I need to jump on the opportunity. And if I were to stay small, and if I were to just like stay at the same job, right? Like, it wasn't a dead end job. Like, that's the thing. It wasn't a dead end job. Like, it had opportunity, but it just wasn't the opportunity I wanted or needed. And so then I was also thinking, okay, here I am, like, in this job, this life that I don't want, but could be someone else's like prayer, or their saving grace, or like someone who is trying to move to this community and has like all the right things for this job, but here I am sitting in this job that I don't even want, because I'm not taking advantage of the other opportunities that I have, like the other passions I have, the other things that make me truly happy, and I'm literally not allowing someone else to have their happiness because I'm staying in that job. So honestly, it was like a total exchange of energy for me, like stepping out of that role to allow someone else to have the perfect fit, to get it that, okay, like, this is what I've been waiting for, and the job finally opened up. Like, how awesome is that? And then for me, I'm able to then step into this new role, this new thing that is gonna allow me to have more time, to create more energy, and to really mold my life into the way that I want it, because we have the power to change our lives at any time. We just have to be okay with the uncomfortability, and we have to be okay with burning it all down. Kelsey Ballerini, oh my gosh, like, I love this girl with all my heart. She recently, the last like 2 months, she put out like a divorce album, I'm not getting a divorce. But her song was so good. And there's a lyric, like, she's standing by the crater. Like, she burned her life down because it wasn't what she wanted. It wasn't the thing, even though someone else, like, would have wanted that thing, like, it wasn't for her. And so she was doing a disservice to her husband at that time, right? Like, her ex-husband now, because if she would have stayed in that relationship, then she isn't giving her all to him, and someone else could be giving their all to him. So it's the polite thing to do, to break off the relationship, to quit the job, to do the thing that is going to be painful. But if you continue to drag it on, it's going to be more painful. And that person is going to feel blindsided, or maybe they weren't really blind. That's a direct quote from Kelsey's song. But if you are reassuring them, if you're telling them, oh, like, everything's fine, everything's okay, they're going to believe you. They're going to take it at face value. That's why you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to ask yourself those questions. And you have to say, hey, like, in this season, right? Like, in this time and place where I am at right now, am I happy? How does this make me feel? And whatever has any sort of, like, bad feeling around it, or, ooh, this might not be for me, or I really wish this was changed. Now is the time to change it, because you want to know when it's too late, when the choice was taken from you, right? Like, when it was taken from you. Personally for me, like, trying to figure out if I'm gonna buy something or not, I have been booking plane tickets and hotel rooms. And I get upset when I go to book the hotel room and the one I wanted, the cheaper one, is no longer there because someone else made the decision. They were decisive and they scooped it up. That's what is going to happen in your life if you are not decisive, if you are not brave enough to take the chance to make the leap, to jump in. This evening, literally, I had gotten in the shower. If you're listening, oh my gosh, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see my background looks very, very different. For the listeners on the podcast, I am set up at my parents' office. So I'm in Iowa right now, and that was part of my big leap of quitting my job. I had some time to come hang out. So I am in Iowa, and Rooster, my blue heeler, and Rowdy, they came with me this trip, and Garrett is going to Chicago the following week, so he wasn't able to hang out with them or watch them while I was in Iowa, so I had to take him with me. And Rooster needs to be on a leash because my parents have cats all over. Like, they have cats outside, like, they're barn cats. They have chickens, they have goats. Like, it's a backyard farm. It has not changed since I was a kid. So I keep Rooster on a leash because at our house, we don't have cats. We do not have ducks. Like, we do not have the farm animals that they do. We just have cows in the pasture. Not a big deal. The dogs aren't going to eat them, the cows, right? But they could eat a cat. So I'm worried about it. So I had Rooster on a leash, and I take him out, and we're walking around. I know that Rooster has to go to the restroom, but he'll pee on the leash, but he won't do the other thing on the leash. So I had to take him off the leash. I was like, all right, like, I'm gonna take you off. Like, we were far out, like, there was no creatures around. It was gonna be fine. I let him off a leash, and he runs around, and he's sniffing here and sniffing there. And we are right next to a big pond that my parents dug out. And they've stocked it with fish. So there is all sorts of fish in there, bluegill. They have walleye in there. Literally, walleye have teeth, just so you know. And I'm petrified they will come up and bite my butt during the summer. But they have a bunch of fish. They just put minnows in there. And to help with the spawning of the fish, they've thrown this big tree in the middle of the pond. And Rooster does not like to swim. He does not like to swim. He's not a swimming dog. We've tried it before. We had him a little life vest. Like, we've done all the things. He's not interested. And so I didn't think anything of it. And he's just running around. And then all of a sudden, I see him run and literally leap into the air and splash right into the pond. He launched himself into the pond and was trying to get they cut like a huge tree to stick it in the middle of the pond so that the fish would have some sort of area to spawn to hang out in, like a little bit of kind of like a fish tank, right? Like you put little rocks in there and stuff for the fish tank. My dad did it for his pond, right? So Rooster is trying to get that big tree branch and he hates the water, right? Like, and I was like, oh my gosh, like he's in the water, and I know it's the beginning of May, but it is cold in Northeast Iowa. It is 46 degrees out. That was during the warm part today. It's cold, okay? And he is in the water, and I was like, Rooster, come on. And then the panic set in, right? Like he had a little bit of panic, and I was about to take off my shoes and try to get him out of the water. Soon he came to the shore and he was like barking at the tree and everything was fine, but I was just thinking, oh my gosh, like he full sent it. He does not like the water, and he had a goal. He was going to get that tree branch. He was going to get it. It did not matter that he had to get a little uncomfortable. It did not matter that he had to get in the water, which he absolutely despises the water. He was going to do it because his goal was important. He was going to launch himself into it. He was going to take that big leap. He was going to get uncomfortable. And I was thinking to myself, I'm doing that. I got uncomfortable. I took the big leap. I quit my job, put my 2 weeks in. I had my last day last Friday, and I was just thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like that was the leap part. That was the big jump from the solid ground into the air, airborne, and now I'm falling in the water. And that's where the flail comes. That's where the struggle comes as I work to figure out what the next part of my life is going to look like, what the next stages are going to look like. And I'm going to get uncomfortable with the flail. I'm going to get uncomfortable with splashing around in the cold ass water, right? Like I'm gonna get comfortable with it because that's the only way that you're ever gonna get the tree. That's the only way that you're ever gonna get the tree branch. And instead of just waiting, oh, one day I'll be there. One day I'll be brave enough. One day I'll be more settled in my life. That's exactly what I don't want. I don't want to be more settled to where I get so stagnant that I don't want to grow. I don't want to push forward. And I'm too scared even then, because then I feel like, forward thinking, when I get to that point in my life, when I'm 30 or 35, like, will then I feel this push, this need, this urge to continue, or will I feel like it's passed me by? Will I feel like, oh my gosh, like I had my chance and I didn't take it, and I'm not gonna not take the chance, right? Like this is the time to be ballsy. It doesn't matter how old you are, but when you start to get that thought, that feeling, oh my gosh, like I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if this is the route I should be taking. That is the time that you should push forward and change your life, to take that big leap. Because if you're not happy with the trajectory that you're on, you think it's going to get better? This weekend, I went to a bridal shower. Rachel and Andrew, they're getting married. I love them so much. And one of Rachel's bridesmaids I had met there, and she was talking to me about how she is an engineer, but she wants to be a marine biologist. And she talked to her significant other, and they decided that her exit plan was going to be after 5 years. 5 years, she was going to have a good job, and then she was going to do whatever she wanted. She wouldn't be a marine biologist. She wanted to work at the marina. I don't know exactly where, but I was just thinking about her and how I had the same thought to myself. And I hope she does what she wants. She knows what's right for her. But I was comparing it to myself. I thought to myself the same thing. Okay, 5 years I'll just do this thing, and then after the 5 years I'll do whatever I want. I'll be brave enough to go out and do it. But if you continue to wait and you never try, you're not going to fail forward. You aren't going to learn the actual things that you need to learn to be successful, because when you get to that point, you're going to still have the same level of fear that you had previously that kept you stuck and that did not make you go forward. And I know that I don't have all the answers. I know that there's going to be some flailing, that I am going to feel like the water is closing in on me and that I am about to drown. But I know that I'll never have the instinct to start paddling if I don't get in the water. I won't have the opportunity to build those skills, not scales in the water, but the skills. I'm not going to have the opportunity to build the skills if I never put myself in the position to actually to get in there and to try it out. Because I have adopted other people's idea of what a good life is, it literally made me not have a good life. I have a good life. I'm to the point of what is actually bringing me fulfillment. All my needs are met, and I'm so grateful for all of my needs being met and having the things that it takes to function as a human in society. But if I want to get to that next level, or if I want to be able to help others who don't have those basic needs in society, I have to get uncomfortable and I have to start growing and I have to start flailing around. And I have to work on my idea of a good life. Because a good life to so many people can mean so many different things. Does a good life mean I have a lot of money? Does a good life mean I have freedom to go and do whatever I want? Does a good life mean I am debt-free? It truly depends on your version of a good life and what is going to give you fulfillment. But if you ever get to the point where you're waking up every day and asking yourself, oh my gosh, like what is this for? That is red flag number one to tell you that you need to make a change, that you need to get on a different path. Just like Rachel's bridesmaid was thinking, oh, like here I am and wanting to be a biologist, but I also want to do marine, right? Like those are two different paths. Those are two different things. And for me, like the industry that I was in, here I was going down this path, this corporate path, this thing, working for someone else and doing and trying so hard, and that wasn't even the path I wanted to be on. Even when, and I should have known, like this is why listening to your intuition is so important. Even when I took the job, I still had it in my head, I'm going to do this for a little while and then I can do what I want. That's delaying of gratification, which, like I said, in the stock market, that's great. In your life, that is not good, because you can never have too much joy. You can never have too much happiness. So it's okay if you wear that special occasion dress and then want to wear it again. There is no reason that you can't wear a dress twice. There is no reason that if you eat the chocolate, you can't buy more chocolate. Or that body scrub. I honestly, like, body scrubs in my shower, like that was a promise, a standard in my life that I wanted to make 2 years ago, where I had a body scrub in the shower and I could use as much of that body scrub as I wanted because it was luxurious. It was what made me happy, and it gave me that self-care. The chocolate can be the self-care to you. The buying a new dress for a special occasion and wearing it twice or 3 times or 4 times, there is no limit on how many times you can wear a dress, and it doesn't have to be a certain day. You can wear the dress to make the day special. You don't have to have a special day for the dress, right? So it's all on how you want to transform your thoughts. And if you want to start living your good life now, if you want to start the rebrand, like I'm starting a rebrand. I'm starting a new era. Okay, I'm starting a new portion of my life, and I hope to look back and think that was exactly what I needed to do. And I'm so proud of my younger self to make that really hard, big decision to put me on the trajectory that I am now. And if you can think to yourself, what do I need to do today to make myself happier in the future? That's an even better way of delaying the gratification, but still getting the gratification right now today, right? Like, what do I need to do to make me happy? What do I need to continue to do to make sure that I'm on the right track, so when I do get to 50, I'm not like, oh my gosh, like I'm 50, like this sucks, like I am on the wrong path, or I didn't do the right thing. It's so funny, and not funny, it's actually kind of sad, when you see people work a job and then when they retire, they're like, now finally I can open a bakery, or finally I can do this passion, this hobby, this whatever that I've been dying to do, but didn't have the courage, didn't want to step out, didn't want to disappoint their parents on their idea of what success looks like, or their idea on who you're supposed to be, or what you're supposed to do. But in all reality, one, they don't really care. Like, they probably did not even think, oh, like, she changed her major. Like, your boss, your friend, like, whatever. Like, they don't really care, because it's not even them. You care the most, I promise you. Your parents might be disappointed in the moment, and they might be like the most overbearing, whatever. They have this perfect thing for you, but I promise you, like, they just want you to be happy, right? Or even if they don't want you to be happy, they just want their own idea, like, it's probably because they didn't chase after their dream, or they didn't do something that they wanted to do. Or if it's your grandparent, or your sister, your brother, your spouse, whatever. It's your life, and you have to determine if you are on the right trajectory, if this is something that you want to continue on, if you're going to be happy at the end of your life and think, oh my gosh, like I did everything I wanted. I had the best time. I wasn't just living for the weekends. I was living during the week. I had happiness sprinkled in. I was making each day so joyful, and I was doing the things that made me happy. That's what it really truly boils down to. And it's none of this other noise that is here to distract us and take us away from the greatest version that our life can be. We just have to be brave enough to make the choice, to make the decision, and to also check in with yourself to see how you define that success and how you're truly feeling. If you're ready for change, right? Like, if you want to be honest with yourself, be ready for the honest answers, because I was honest with myself and I got some honest answers, and I was like, okay, like, you are right. Like, this is, we've got to make a change, right? And we have to not be afraid of the fear of failure, and we have to be okay with trying something for a little bit. And then if it's not for us, it's not for us, right? Like, I tried this industry for 2 years. It's not for me. Or maybe I'm just romanticizing a different version of my life, and maybe in 5 years I'll go back to that industry. Nobody says you can't ever go home again. I'm literally home again, right? Like, I'm literally back home. And sometimes you just have to, you can always go back home, right? Like, you can always run to the things that made you happy before in order to determine how you're going to live the rest of your life, and to get quiet, and to journal, and ask you how you're feeling, and to do all those things. Check in with yourself. I promise you, only good can come from checking in with yourself, even if in the beginning it's going to be hard, and it's going to be scary, and you're going to flail. I'm flailing. If you want to flail with me, be sure to follow on social media, DM me how you're flailing right now. Because I would love to be in the flail with you. I would love to see how I can help you, and to build that network in that community. So thank you so much for listening for today's episode. Be sure to share with a friend who might need it. And until next time, bye.